let's look at the Titans offense. I don't know where you want to start.
Let's start with Hopkins himself.
So okay.
Where do you put this? Well, first of all, among the
Get my
potential landing
rankings up.
spots,
Yep.
the ones that were realistic, right? The ones that we really heard a lot of steam on, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Texans, Patriots. Where did the Titans rank as a landing spot among those five?
So I think gut reaction, Titans were to me the second worst, right?
Yeah.
Gut reaction. I think Patriots were the worst.
Yep.
But gut reaction, yeah, Titans were a terrible spot. And as I begin to do my projections, and I'm not nearly close to being done with individual players. I do have the passing team stats laid out, so I can at least look and see what quarterbacks are. I begin laying it out, and I actually had to kind of nerf my initial Tannehill layout because I gave them a boost with DeAndre coming in because I just don't think you bring in a guy like Hopkins if you don't plan on throwing more. And it doesn't have to be drastically more, but if you still increase by one or two pass play or pass attempts per game, that gets you up there to another 30 something attempts over the course of the season. Tannehill has been good outside of last year, right? In 20 and 21, he was good with the Titans. So I wanted to bring him back a little bit more closer to that efficiency. Definitely not where he was during those seasons. But I kind of look back at 19, 20, 21 for him and thought, okay, I think Tannehill can go back up to, he was here in 19. He was at the peak. We're never going to see Tannehill there again. But I also think we saw the worst Tannehill as a Titan last year. So where's the happy medium now that Hopkins is there? And I honestly, at the end of the day, I don't think it's as bad of a spot as what my gut reaction was the day he signed.
Yeah, I still don't love it. So you mentioned even if it's like 30 more pass attempts,
Yep.
right, on the season. Last year the Titans were 30th in pass attempts at
Yeah. It was
456.
not great.
But remember, there were a couple Malik Willis games in there where they threw the ball like 10
Yeah.
times.
Or not at all.
Or
Yeah.
not at all, right?
Well, the
So
the Chiefs game in overtime or that they
right.
lost, they threw like 8 passes that game.
Right. So there's a couple of those that I think really bring it down to begin with.
Mhm.
But 456, they were 30th. 30 more still would have them at 29th behind the Ravens
Yeah.
at 488. So I think, but again, I think with the whole Josh Dobbs, Malik Willis situation going on there, you could also add maybe another, let's call it 30 pass attempts on just those games,
Yeah.
if they go from 8 pass attempts to 20 pass attempts in those, couple games, that brings them right around like 24th, 25th ish in pass attempts among teams. And look, those offenses can sustain one wide receiver. I don't know if there's enough volume to go around for the other guys now, but for Hopkins, and Hopkins has never had problem drawing targets. He has been a target hog his whole career. He's been right around 10 targets a game, basically since he broke out. I will say AJ Brown in those years with the Titans was usually right around 8 targets per game. So there's a bit of a dip even at maybe the peak potential. But for Hopkins, I slotted him in right at wide receiver 23. And that's behind Godwin, behind Watson, behind Drake London. I think I might shuffle that around a little bit. But I do have him ahead of Michael Pittman, who I think is almost in the exact same situation.
Yeah, so I have Hopkins, I believe he was at 24 for me, and I felt like I was gonna be the high guy on him, being at 24. And I bet you I'm still the high guy on Burks.
Where did you end up with on Burks?
Is he in your top 40?
He is
Oh,
36.
okay. Oh, okay.
Well, we talked about it on a previous episode that there was really kind of a hard line for me right
Yeah.
around this range of wide receiver. And
So,
so I didn't move Burks behind like Michael Thomas. I've got 37. Jordan Addison at 38. Speedy over here. I didn't move behind those guys.
here's kind of the where I'm at on the line for Burks. So right now I have him at 38, but the guys I have in front of him, there's 3 names I'm probably not gonna have any shares of, and I may move him ahead of them. But I think probably the line for me, Burks or Michael Pittman.
Well, it's Pittman for me. That's not
Okay.
even close. I have Pittman up by up by Hopkins.
I have Pittman at 35.
Oh, so you really hate Michael Pittman.
This year, I
I
am
get I
not.
get it.
Yeah. So I have the Titans. Oh, where'd they go? I got to do math because I got to subtract a line. So I have them 26th in pass attempts at 493. So I added, where were they at last year?
456. And by the way,
Okay.
493 last year would have been 28th. So there's a bit of a bump up, standing wise there.
93 pass attempts. His yards per attempt were really hard to figure out for me. That's one of the things that I nerfed down for him. So he led the league in yards per attempt in 19. Obviously, that's going to be the outlier year. Then 20, he was at 7.9, dipped to 7, then back up to 7.8 last year. So I think it's very reasonable to put him back in the high sevens. So I put him at 7.9 on yards per attempt. So I came out to 3,800 yards, and let's see, his touchdown rate. He's been around 4 the last 2 years, but I'm giving him a spike with Hopkins there, and his career is a 4.7, and just 2020 when he still had AJ Brown, he was a 6.9. So I put him around mid fives, so we got him to 27 passing touchdowns. So 3,800 yards, 27 touchdowns for Tannehill this year. That's definitely a lot higher than where I would have had him pre-Hopkins signing. And I do think that you might be, and I need to finish the actual team one so I can see where I'm going to be at Treylon Burks. Burks to me is still someone I'm probably going to end up rostering in a couple of leagues, a couple of redraft leagues, just because there is the shot. For one, Hopkins is 31, so he could just be the new Titans Julio Jones.
Or Andre Johnson.
Or Andre Johnson.
Or
Randy Moss. But yeah, I definitely don't think Burks is an afterthought for this season. I think when Hopkins first signed, it was like, all right, well, Burks is still a good dynasty asset, but this year, kind of put him on the back burner. And I'm not really sure if that's the case. I think in a 3-receiver league or 1 or 2 flex spot league, he's definitely someone to consider still for what his current price tag is probably going to be. And I don't know if I'll have an accurate, basically where his ADP is since the move.
Right.
Do you remember Fantasy Football Calculator?
Yes.
I could not get that site to work the other day, and I don't know if they've went corporate and want you to pay, but that used to be great to sort through dates.
I have not tried sorting through dates, but I've been using it to. One of the things I've been doing that we're going to talk about here soon in a future episode is breakdown of running back picks by round, because I feel like running backs are getting pushed down this year. And so I wanted to see just where is that happening and where is there opportunity for that. So I've been using it. So it works still. I haven't tried sorting it out by dates at all.
Maybe it was just that day.
And that could have a bad hair day. Those happen.
Yeah. Just everyone was on there. Yeah. First thing that pops up is go premium today.
Really?
I'm going to try and pull it up real quick, see if it will work for me today. But in the meantime,
well, I'll fill for you. I'll talk a little bit about Burks and how I'm feeling there, because for me, Treylon Burks, I've got him a wide receiver 36 still. I think my concern is, though, obviously it's going to be the targets, and I think that offense is going to be incredibly run first. I think Hopkins demands a lot of targets, and Burks hasn't done anything yet to really earn targets as a high end point as number 2. The one thing I do think Burks could do really well, I think he could be very efficient as a wide receiver too. I think that's where he could really thrive, is doing the most with his touches. And that includes the cutesy stuff, because that was one of the things that he was really known for coming out of college. And when you're the number 1 wide receiver on a team, I feel like sometimes that stuff gets phased out of your game a little bit more, because you're responsible for doing more things, right? Because, you have to be the one who goes down the field a bit more, moves the chains with that kind of stuff. You don't get to do all the screens. You don't get to do all the ends arounds, jet sweeps. I think this could really be a good thing for Treylon Burks in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes, especially for a young wide receiver, I think one of the things that get lost is a lot of wide receivers need 3 years in the NFL, or they need 2 years in the NFL to truly break out year 3. And I think we lose sight of that a lot because your Jamar Chases and the best of the best, the outliers there. But yeah, bringing in a guy like Hopkins could really help him jump that, right, and break out this year because Hopkins is taking away a lot of attention, and it could kind of help ease the game a little for Burks. I have yet to be able to sort dates. It's saying it's from the 11th through the 21st, so I
Yeah,
don't
and
think it's going to be.
even if you could, it wouldn't be many drafts to work off of.
No, but I think it'd be, at least it'd be a
Yeah.
little bit better to work with. Um I don't even see him on here right now. Where'd he go? So let me just do a little control F. There he is, middle of the 8th right now is what this is showing, which is where he is on Fantasy Pros. So yeah, I don't really think it's accounting for the signing. So that's all right. Um, do you think the Hopkins signing? Because I think we would talk about this on other teams. So I want to bring it up here with the Titans. Do you think the Hopkins signing can help lighten the box at all for the old man in the backfield, Derrick Henry?
Well, I don't know because Henry does demand so much. I don't know if it lightens the box, but I do think it can help keep him from getting game scripted out. I think it
Yes.
helps keep the Titans in games. And I think for the Titans and with Derrick Henry, the only way Derrick Henry doesn't get his volume is game script, right? No one else is taking him off the field unless they're trailing. So in that regard, I did move Derrick Henry up. I actually moved him
Okay.
all the way up to my running back 10.
Ooh, there you go. Yeah, he's still my RB7, but I was discussing this with some guys at work today, and I was like, if I'm on the clock early second round, and I see Henry and Chubb still there, I'm taking Chubb.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I probably should make that switch in my rankings to reflect what I would actually do when it's on the board. I won't be drafting any Derrick Henry this year. He's kind of that one first round pick. I think he still has first round ADP,
I was
but
gonna say I wouldn't count on you not getting any of him though, because I feel like Derrick Henry's been
oh,
falling in drafts a little bit.
this is showing Fancy Pros has him as 16th player.
Yeah, fantasy football calculator happens is the 15th player, 203.
Well, yeah, now it's got Chubb moved in front of him. When I looked at this earlier today, it must have updated recently. Because I looked at it earlier today, he was 13.
See, in my opinion, Chubb has been in front of him this entire summer.
Well, I haven't seen it on ADPs though.
Yeah. But
Is
like
what I'm
for
saying.
my rankings though, Chubb has been well ahead of him.
Yeah.
Henry just now moved
Well,
up
yeah,
a little
you've been the very low man on Henry, which is
bit.
usually the only way to tackle him is to be the low man,
Yeah.
and even then, it still usually doesn't work. But one other thing I want to bring up with the Titans, just real quick, with Tannehill. Obviously, he was not a fantasy quarterback thought um, before the Hopkins signing, but right now, do you think that Ryan Tannehill is startable in a 2 QB league? And second part is, does it feel like quarterbacks could be a little bit more streamable now as we add some more names into the hat?
I think he becomes in play in a 2 QB league. I am trying to see where I ended up with him. I moved up to 25.
Okay.
He's kind of, to me, he's not in the quarterback twos I'm targeting. I'm targeting the guys that are up here with like the Rodgers, the Stafford. If I'm in a 2 QB league, those guys. To me, he's more along the Baker Mayfield, Desmond Ritter, Derek Carter, Bryce Young group. Like, it's not a QB2 I want to play. I would prefer him be my QB3, I think.
Yeah. And you
Uh,
probably could still get him there. For
yeah.
me, he moved up. He was at the very back of that last QB3 tier for me, or that oh crap, I let quarterbacks get away from me in a super flex. He was at the very back of that to where I'm still not I was taking the rookies over him. He's moved to the front of that now, where if I end up with him as my QB2, yeah, I'm not happy about it. I'm probably going to go back-to-back picks there and grab him and like Stroud or one of the rookies or something like that, or Garoppolo, and cross my fingers and not enjoy that league. But but yeah, he's kind of moved to the front of that tier now. So I have him at 25 as well.
Do you
But
prefer him or 16 games of Brock Purdy?
probably Purdy.
Yeah, me too.
I I don't know, man. Like looking at his stats, that 6 game stretch last year, it just feels like that's not replicable for Purdy
No,
over 17.
the
Not
touchdown
especially
rate
not the touchdown. No,
the
well,
is
he threw,
insane.
I forgot what he threw. But it was, yeah, he was throwing almost 2 a game.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm gonna go Purdy just because with Shanahan's system. I mean, he half his games he threw over 30 pass attempts. So it's not like, if Purdy started 17, it's not like he's
But
going to be a very low rate guy, even though I kind of have him projected out to be that way. But
but it was only for like 215 yards though. Like it was like there was pretty decent attempts, but the yards were just not there.
yeah, and a lot of it is the thing I think that makes Brock pretty successful. And now we're completely off topic from where we were, but that's what you get with this show. Is that I think he's just a very good decision maker in Shanahan's system.
He is Garoppolo.
Yeah, he
He's in a
excels. Yeah, he's going to excel in that system, and Shanahan's going to do a great job of not putting him in a position to make the mistakes.
to bring us back to Tennessee. I think there's one more player we need to touch on, and
Julius Chestnut.
I considered importing some very sad music for us today. I ended up not doing it, but we might put it in a post. Chigakonkwo. Now,
Yeah,
as much as I'm still willing to be in on Burks, and the price for Chig was always cheap to begin with, I think the hope is dead though for Chig.
yeah. I wish I remembered the tweet that was comparing Chig to another tight end that we had so much hope for after rookie year, and he just didn't pan out. But that kind of seems like that's where it's going to be. Is he's just not going to pan out. Oh, we did a little flip flop there.
Yeah, I've been having some sneezes here this
Yep.
evening, so I've been kicking myself out and bringing myself back into
Yeah.
to save the people.
Now I'm over here on the left side.
You're over the. Oh nope, you were over there.
Yep.
Now you're over there. Ah, there you are. Ah,
Hey.
hey.
For those of you who are just listening to the audio of this, yeah, go watch us on YouTube. So
You get finger points and stuff like that.
yeah. So yeah, I feel like I've wasted a lot of fab now. We had a league, one of our
Yeah,
dynasty leagues where a manager dropped Chig at the very end of the season. So he was when waivers opened, he was the
he was the
big
prize.
prize.
Yep.
And yeah, I spent about a third of my fab on him.
And in that league, you're super loaded at tight end.
I
And
did. I didn't need him at all.
I
I
was
didn't
so
need him
mad.
at all.
I was the second
Uh,
bid. You only beat me by a few bucks.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I needed it all to win him, but yeah, I
I was
did
mad.
not. I have Kelsey and Pitts in that league.
Yeah.
Now I have Chig as well.
I think you also have your boy Trey McBride.
I do.
Who
I
do you
do have Trey
prefer
McBride.
now? Do you prefer Chig or Trey?
Well, one of them is on a very bad offense with, I mean, a decent bit of target competition as well. So it's still Chig.
Yeah. Chig or everybody America's favorite boy, Dalton Kincaid.
I mean, for straight up redraft this
Yeah,
year,
for redraft.
I think I'd still take Chig.
Would you? I moved Kincaid above him.
Yeah, I mean, in realistic terms, who's more likely to catch 4 passes a game?
Kincaid?
See, I think it's Chig.
I think it's a real toss up. And at tight end, who's more likely to have the touchdown luck, right? Like that's what matters here. Because
Yeah.
neither one's going to catch 4 passes a game.
And I think that's Chig.
Oh, I think it's Kincaid.
Yeah.
I think Kincaid's got a better chance at lucking his way into 7 touchdowns when there's being 40 of them thrown compared to Chig, who can he really get a third or a quarter of Tannehill's touchdowns?
Absolutely.
Oh, I don't think so.
I honestly I think he can. I think with the Bills, I don't know. I don't really see Kincaid, I mean, when you get that close to the end zone,
A big target.
he's a big target, but also, I mean, there's still Knox. Say what you want about Dawson Knox, but
Right.
he's a lot more familiar
Yeah.
with Allen. And there's still last year's lover boy of Gabe Davis, the offseason lover boy, and then obviously Diggs, and then probably the number 1 or 2 option when you get down there is Josh Allen with his legs. That's the kind of the part. And I know Tannehill's had some success in his career with rushing touchdowns, I believe.
Well, you got
Or am I
Derrick
mixed?
Henry.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
but
as
yeah,
far as just
Tannehill
passing
has.
touchdowns, yeah.
I think the path is, though, Allen runs less touchdowns and thus throws more touchdowns, right? Like
Yeah.
a good percentage of those rushing touchdowns just
Yeah,
turn to passing.
there is a lot more opportunities for Kincaid for sure.
And for both of them, you're just spinning the roulette wheel and hoping for touchdowns. I like
Yeah.
that's the range both of these guys are in.
If those are your 2 roster tight ends in this next season, I think you're in a little trouble with the tight ends.
Hopefully, you're playing best ball in that case. You don't have to make the decision.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed me and Tanner breaking down what's going on with the Tennessee Titans and where we're sitting right now with everybody. Hey, if you enjoyed that and you want more about those projections that Tanner talks about, he goes super in-depth on how he comes up with his projections and a couple of quarterbacks that really stood out in those this year.